Day, Georgia is tightening rules on who can fix your wires, pipes, and AC. Atlanta News First investigative reporter Anastasia Olmos shows you how to spot contractors that are properly licensed.
The goal of Senate Bill 553 is to protect homeowners from unsafe, faulty, and shoddy work. And now contractors could face misdemeanor charges. A new Georgia law reshapes how the state regulates 5 major home service trades. Those include plumbing, electrical, HVAC, utility work, and low-voltage wiring projects, such as security alarms and smart home systems. There's now a restructured state board to oversee construction, licensing, and enforcement. Now, if someone violates licensing rules, such as advertising or working without the proper license, that person could face fines up to $10,000 per violation, and possibly a misdemeanor charge with up to 6 months in jail. Contractors could also lose their license. So here's what homeowners should look out for. Contractors need to display their license openly, and their state registration number should also be visible. This includes on their work cars, in ads, and on estimates, proposals, and invoices. Always verify the license on the Secretary of State website and make sure their information matches with what's listed. I'm Anastasia Olmos. Atlanta News First investigates.